had not used it, and then I got asked to do a presentation, and as soon as I started exploring it, I kind of blew my mind with what we could do. So that's what you guys are in for today. We're going to learn all about Whiteboard and OneNote. Coulter has just kindly put in the chat there the link to the presentation that you can keep if you need it. I really jam-packed this slide deck for you guys today. I think there's something like close to 50 slides in here, if I'm not mistaken. I'm just looking. Yeah, there is 52 slides. I'm not going to go through them all today. I just wanted to make sure that you guys had all the resources that you could possibly need, even if we didn't get to all of the content, so that you could refer back to it. So as he said, my name is Alex, and I have my lovely colleague Coulter with me taking care of the chat today. We are both here on behalf of the Cobblestone Collective, which is the old EdTech team, but rebranded. And really, our mission is to come together as educators from all over Canada and really help ourselves and you build learning and teaching environments that are relevant, that are accessible, and that are easy to use. So thank you so much for choosing to take the time out of your day with us today. Before we just jump straight into our presentation, I do just want to acknowledge that currently today I am teaching on the traditional territory of the Mohawk people. So I just wanted to make that land acknowledgement that I'm very grateful to be able to teach, learn, and explore with all of you. If you ever want to know where you're teaching from or learning from, there's a great website called native-land.ca. You can just put in your postal code and find out where you are learning from or teaching from, something maybe to do with your students. So, as I said, welcome to a Cobblestone Collective presentation today, and also a big thank you to Microsoft Education Canada for being here to support these sessions and offering these sessions free for you. As we've said, this session will be recorded, so if you do want to go back and watch it later, try something out, maybe you missed something, it will always be there for you, as well as the access to the PowerPoint slide deck if you need that at any point. So what are we going to cover today? What is on our agenda? I've put it just into 4 really simple points, and we don't even need a subtitle because we don't even have that much content to go through. We're just going to talk through Microsoft Whiteboard. I'm going to go into a demo right away. I'll spend most of my time in that demo. I'm going to talk to you about a few pointers about Microsoft OneNote. I'm going to go straight into a demo for that. And then I'm also going to leave a chunk of time at the end for a Q&A. So this can be specific to questions that we have around Whiteboard and OneNote. But you're lucky, Coulter and I are somewhat of Microsoft experts. We both happen to work for Microsoft for a number of years. So if you have any questions about anything to do with Microsoft technologies, whether that be from Word to Teams, please feel free to ask them. We're here to kind of help you out. So where do we get started for today's session? Before we launch into content, I want to make sure that all of you actually have a place to try some of these things out today. So where I would like you to go right away is your Office 365 homepage. And you can get to that by clicking on the link that Coulter is just going to drop in the chat there for you and signing in with your school email. You will know that you are in the right place when your page looks something like mine. So you have an Office 365 homepage with your apps somewhere along the left, and maybe you've used some documents before, so that should be on the homepage. So I'm just going to pause there. The reason I'm asking you to come here right away is because I'm going to show you how you can actually work alongside me today in Whiteboard and OneNote. So I'm going to pause, give you guys a chance to hop into that Office homepage, and please do use that chat space to let us know when you are logged in. We want to make sure that this is at the correct pace for you, and the only way for us to know that is if you let us know where you're at. So let me know when you've signed into that Office 365 homepage, and then I will get things kicked off with the explanation and the demo. And says there, it's always open. Yeah, me too. I don't think this page is ever closed. It's always hidden in one of the tabs across one of my different browsers. Awesome. So Shannon's in. That's great. And usually we ask you kind of what's your level of comfort or what do you know, but most of these tools are brand new to lots of people. So I'm going to assume that we all know nothing so that we can all learn something from this session. Linda, I see that you just raised your hand. Linda, did you want to say something? If you have a comment, please do. I don't know if it was an accident or not, but if it's not, please feel free to unmute yourself, leave your comment, ask your question, go for it.
I'm not sure how to connect.
To the Office homepage?
Yes, yes.
Okay, can you see the chat there, Linda? That's coming up on the right. You should have a little like speech bubble somewhere.
On the right?
So on the call at the moment, you should have a little speech bubble either at the top or at the bottom of your screen. And you can see that like Terry just posted a message. We've just written in there. Do you have access to the chat?
I'm not quite sure.
Here, Linda, I'm going to show you what I mean here. So okay, if I am looking at our meeting, which looks like this, you should look at this little conversation bubble up at the top here. And that will bring up the whole conversation. And Coulter has just put in the link right here to office.com, and that will take you to that Office page. Okay.
So right here.
And that should take you to Office in the web. No problem. I'm going to go back and share my screen so you know what to look for. Okay, looks like most people are able to find there. So I see that Erin is in, Terry's in, Shannon is in, Anne is in. Again, for anybody else in the chat, so that might be Justine or June or who else have we got here? We have got Elpis or who else? Lula or Esther. Let us know in that chat if you're able to go to that Office 365 homepage. That's the only way that Coulter and I kind of know if you're following along. So we are going to be relying on that chat for you to give us that feedback. Perfect. Melinda's in. Thank you. Anik is in. June is in. Awesome. That's great. Okay, so it looks like most of us are in. So that's the first piece. I just wanted you guys to get there. So don't worry, you don't have to do anything else. Just wanted you to get to that Office 365 homepage. So we're in. Perfect. Now where do we go from here? So if you've never heard, Microsoft has a whiteboard kind of environment. So if you're one of those teachers that loved your smartboard because you loved the ability to write and type and post pictures and do all that kind of fun stuff with your students, this is kind of like a virtual smartboard. It's also very similar to Jamboard if you're from the Google environment. It's just this giant whiteboard environment where you kind of have free reign to write, to draw, and to do whatever. So why do we love Whiteboard and why do we like this kind of free flowing space? It allows our students to go from reviewing content to creating or co-creating content. And when they're creating, they're thinking more critically about what they're producing. So it allows our students to really start having a place to put their brainstorming or their problem solving ideas. It allows students to have a more in-depth understanding of what design-led thinking looks like. So we go from taking content to understanding it, researching it, and then sharing it in a way that seems a bit more digestible. It's also a great place for groups to work together on group projects. So we can do things like plan, we can do things like record milestones, we can have a whole project plan that we can do inside that Microsoft Whiteboard space. For coaching or for following along with sessions like this, it's a great place to just kind of have a mind map. What did you know? Connect ideas, a KWL chart, all of that is available to you in that Microsoft Whiteboard space. So it really takes us from more of a consuming environment to a creating environment because we have this free space where we can work in any way that feels flexible and useful to us. So Microsoft Whiteboard is really a blank canvas. It has kind of three pillars, a canvas to work on, the type of work that you're going to do, and an intelligence factor built in where it will assist you in actually building out your content. So again, it provides a virtual workspace for your team and students. It allows you to work together in real time, and we're going to show that to you today, how we can actually be collaborative in all of these different places. And it allows us to also kind of have that intelligence organizational piece involved right in the whiteboard. So it allows us to kind of display the way that we work in a different way. So what I've talked about already, we know that collaborating with our students has a huge focus. It's hard to get students working together when we're all in our own little bubbles or all in our houses. Some of us are virtual, some of us are hybrid, some of us are distance. It will really just depend on your environment. But regardless of that, we want students to learn how to work in teams, in groups. So having that ability to collaborate in real time is such a key idea. Another part is obviously the ability to kind of unlock those ideas and put them to paper. I know that although I'm super technical and I like to work with the tools that I have in front of me, I still keep like a physical paper journal, or I still keep kind of a physical agenda. I like the feeling of seeing my writing and the process of writing. So having all the tools in Microsoft Whiteboard available to us, like all the different pens, we're going to explore that today. It really can help you unlock your ideas in a more structured and more shareable, more friendly manner. And last but not least, just like everything that we want to do these days, we want things to happen on their own. We want it to be able to save automatically, which Microsoft Whiteboard does. It goes straight to the cloud. You don't ever need to press save. It does it all on its own. So no more of that file save as procedure that we had to teach students. As long as they're signed in under their account, and the same is true for you, you will have access to that automatic saving in the cloud. So being able to collaborate, put our ideas on paper, and automatically have that save that to the cloud really takes kind of the stress, worry out of the collaboration piece and allows us just to get creative right away. So what can we do in Microsoft Whiteboard? We can write. So we have fast ink, we've got pens and different highlighters, and we work on an infinite canvas. So it really is built for that kind of natural native input. We can have lots of different content and context, so we can do things like inking, sticky notes, so think it like post-it notes, but for the 21st century. You've got images, you've got stickers, you can bring in other information like PDFs, PowerPoints, Word documents. All of this can kind of sit on that whiteboard. So if you imagine your classroom whiteboard where maybe you'd put some posters, the words of the week, a KWL chart, hot topics for that week, research points, that virtual whiteboard is now able to do the exact same thing. That intelligence piece that I was talking to, you guys are really going to see how that works. You can capture pictures and convert them into ink. So let's say you are a science teacher and you want the students to label a plant cell. You can find a plant cell image on the web, pop it into Microsoft Whiteboard. It'll turn that into a drawing. You remove the labels and the students then have to label that drawing. So cool. It also does intuitive handwriting. You'll see it has the ability to beautify your handwriting. I need this in real life, not just in Microsoft Whiteboard. It'll actually take what you write and make it all that more legible. And as always with Microsoft, we have a real focus on accessibility. So we want students to have accessible content, meaning if they need a screen reader, it's already going to be involved. If you have students that are have any type of sight difficulties, maybe you'll be able to have that alternative text so that if they have a screen reader, it will read it out to them. It's high contrast so that students who need to have that differentiation between the background and the text, that high contrast is available to them. So really, it allows you to create freely and as easily as you want. As I said, I've put a lot of information on this slide deck. I'm not going to go through all of these points just because I would like to be able to demonstrate most of this to you. But just know that I've really given you everything here, from how to get access to built-in templates, to voting on different things. You want to know if you want to cover A subject or B subject today. How do we get students to vote on that? And a whole bunch more. As I said, all of this is here for you. I've included it inside the PowerPoint slide deck, but I think there's no better way to learn than really to see it in action. So what I am going to do is I am just going to share my screen with you so you can see what Microsoft Whiteboard looks like. And again, in that PowerPoint, I've put the link on where you can actually go to download this. So we've got two different places. The first place that you can actually find Microsoft Whiteboard is right on your Office 365 homepage, like I pointed out right at the beginning. So all of you should be able to navigate to this page. Now, when I look at my Office 365 homepage, I don't actually see the Whiteboard app anywhere. It's not appearing on my toolbar on the left. It's not showing up as anything that's recommended, but I do have it. All I need to do is click on those 9 little squares or 9 little dots in the top left-hand corner. And if I come to this option called All Apps, you'll notice that way down at the bottom under W, there is Whiteboard. So again, I'm going to show that one more time. I'm on my Office 365 homepage. I'm going to click on the top left to all those little squares. I'm going to come to the option which says All Apps, scroll all the way down to W to open up Microsoft Whiteboard. Just like in most of Microsoft land, they also have an app for that. So the app is Whiteboard, Microsoft Whiteboard. You can get this by downloading it from the web. You can open your whiteboards in here as well. And I have put that link inside my PowerPoint in case you want to download that. So if you're following along with me, again, I'll show you one more time. I was on my Office 365 homepage. I came to those 9 little dots. I came to all my apps. And then at the very bottom, I'm going down to Whiteboard. So what you guys can do is you can click on Create a New Whiteboard. And that will pull you into this blank canvas open space. So you'll see here that you've got this little toolbar at the top. So you've got a black pen, a red pen, a green pen, a blue pen. You've also got an eraser. You've got the ability to add a text box, and you've got the ability to add a sticky note. You can also share this out with people. You could open this in the desktop app, and then with those settings, you can have the ability to export this as a picture. So if you've worked on this and now you want to put this somewhere else, you can export that as an image. If you're going to choose to work on the desktop app, which is the one that I would highly suggest, you're going to see that we have a lot more capabilities. So if I open that same whiteboard that I just opened online, I have loads of different pens. I've got a highlighter, I've got a ruler. I seem to have the ability to add a menu in here, add a whole bunch of different options like notes and lists and PDFs. And then in that extra settings, I've got a bunch more information. So if I was going to suggest to use something, I would suggest to use the Microsoft Whiteboard app. It is a lot more comprehensive. And don't worry, it's available across all devices. So even if you're working on an iPad or a Mac or a PC, you can download the Microsoft Whiteboard application to use it anywhere. So just for the moment, I'm going to come back to the web version. And let's say I wanted to add in a text box. All I need to do is click Add Text, and here I am. So I could think of feelings that I get when it snows, for example. Now, in here, I can edit that text if I want to make any changes. I can choose the color of the text. Let's say I actually want that to be blue or dark blue. And I can also change the size of that text by simply pulling on the box. And if I want to, I can pick that up and move that somewhere. So I'm going to stick that right in the middle. And now if I want to actually get a whole bunch of different feelings around what I feel when it snows, I'm going to choose that blue pen. And with my mouse, I'm just going to draw a few lines. So I'm going to record here all the different feelings that I get when it snows. And if I want to add a text box again, I just click on that text box. I can resize that to kind of be any size that I want. So what do I get? I get a sense of calm, maybe. I'm going to make that smaller. I'm going to pull that little box over to the edge. And there we go. Actually, I don't want to do that. Let me make that a bit bigger. And then I should be able to move that, which is great. So there's that calm. I'm going to also add another text box. And I'm going to say that it is going to be a feeling of joy. Maybe that's what I feel when it snows. Or maybe a feeling of youthfulness or youth. So again, I can build that out, move those things anywhere, change the color of those texts as I want to. We'll put them there. And now I've just made a really quick mind map around how I feel when it snows. And you can see all of this I'm doing right in the web. But if I come back to the application, you'll see the exact same things are being recorded here. So I don't really need to worry about working on the web or in the browser. It's going and moving it's reflecting the changes that I make everywhere. And as you can see, I can kind of move them around here as well, pivot them, do whatever I want. So it really is just like that mind map, that place for you to kind of put your ideas. Now, the one that's in the online does look a bit simple. As I said, you can kind of go in, you can do the pencil, the eraser, add a text, a sticky note if you want to. This is literally like a post-it note. So you could say like, remember, I'll do a blue one just to say, and I'm going to start typing and just say, ask students to create a poem using their feeling words. Okay, I'm going to take that, move that to the edge there. So I know that my students, I want them to actually use this to create a poem. So really nice way to kind of get your ideas out on paper. I am going to say, though, that the version that's in the web is pretty simple. So I'm going to give you guys about 2 minutes. What I would like you to do is hop into that Microsoft Whiteboard and try a couple of these things out. Try drawing a line, adding a text box, maybe erasing something that you drew, add a sticky note, and I'm going to call you back in 2 minutes to show you what we can really do on the desktop app. So I'm just going to pull that back over, reshare my screen so you can have an example. And I'm going to give you 2 minutes to just kind of test and try it out. And maybe you can share in that chat space if you've thought of a way that you could use this in your class already, just from the basics that I've shown you. Is there a way that you could see incorporating Microsoft Whiteboard? And again, I'm just showing the desktop, the online version. I'm going to show you the power of the desktop app in just a second. And then I will also show you how to share this out. Okay. And thanks to Coulter, who just put the the link to download the app. If you've never downloaded it before, he's put that in the chat there for you. So I'm going to give you a couple of moments, try a few of these things out, and let us know when that's done in the chat space or any questions that you may have before I show you the desktop app. Any questions so far? Looks to be okay. Whoop. There we go. Okay, Anne, you wrote them as sticky text, and when you move them, they all move together. All you need to do, Anne, is instead of trying to select the box, which I'm showing you on my screen right now, if you actually just click right in the middle of the post-it note, you can move it. And the same thing is true for the words. If you click on the word and then attempt to slide the box, it moves the whole canvas. So if you just want to move the word, just click right on the word and then move the middle of the word. Okay? So, Nick, we're going to come in a second to the difference between Whiteboard and Jamboard. I'm going to show you what Whiteboard has to offer, and then you'll be able to compare it. It's rather similar, but Microsoft has taken things a step farther, which I'm going to show you now. So I'm going to come to my Microsoft Whiteboard. Again, I'm just going to share this with you. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen and share my other screen, which is my desktop. And now I have that desktop app. And this is really where the magic of Whiteboard comes to play. So I am on my desktop version. I can zoom in or out as much as I want. So this can be a minuscule part of my canvas, or I can zoom right the way in just to focus on one part of the line. So what can I do here that may be a little bit different to my Microsoft Online Whiteboard? First of all, I have got a rainbow pen, and I do not know any child that does not like a rainbow pen. So if I would like to, for example, say I'm working with young students and we are working on learning our colors. So what I'm going to do is this. I'm going to draw a squiggly line with colors, and I'm going to get my students to label the different colors. So maybe this color here is purple. Maybe this is red, yellow. Let's see if I can write that Y a little better. There we go. Green, turquoise. Let's go with, I don't know what other colors you can put here. Mauve. I'm really pushing my color thinking here. Go with this. Okay. So I can use that. Actually, that looks like a V. U-V-E. I can use that to have students label. Now, what I love about Microsoft Whiteboard is if I click on the word purple, I have this thing called beautification, and it makes my text that I wrote appear. Please let me do this. There we go. I will actually convert that into a much more nice and easy to read text. So purple, this is my sloppy handwriting, all of a sudden getting turned into much easier to read text. Now we can see yellow, the Y wasn't properly connected, so we got something a little funny happening there. If I want to, I can just delete that, attempt to rewrite yellow and have this beautified. Imagine if they had this for our actual boards. That would have been so helpful when you're learning to write on that chalkboard. So you can go in and label and beautify your text on anything. So easy, so simple. So that's that first piece that I can do. That's a little bit extra. I can also highlight. So I have the ability to have a highlighter, and I can come through, take my text, select that highlighter, and then highlight over top of my text. And I can always choose from a variety of different highlighting options. I can come in and I can actually use a ruler. So if you're a math teacher and you want to have angles, you could help your students learn how to do angles. I'll actually switch back to a proper pen here. Let's do a red pen. So we want to know how to measure a 45-degree angle. We can do something like this. Let's say that this is a dotted line at 0 degrees. We'll just do a dotted line like that. And let's say now I'm going to draw a triangle. I would like to have a straight line. So I'm going to draw an angle at 90 degrees. And here I'm going to ask my students to measure angle A, angle B, and angle C. So easy. I've got perfect angles. I can really measure any angle that I want by simply using that ruler feature. So interesting. All kinds of thinking available to us on one simple canvas. As I mentioned, we can type. So you guys saw that already. I could put a text box. I can put those little sticky notes there as well if I want to. Microsoft Whiteboard for the desktop, however, has an ability to actually add pictures. So I can go and look for something specific. So I'm going to go to a Bing image. This will search the web. What I love about Bing image search is that it only shows us stuff that we can use. So it is Creative Commons license friendly. So let's go with a mountain just for fun. That's what I felt like looking up today. So if I go for mountain, as you can see, Creative Commons is only, so it's showing me things that I am allowed to use and reproduce. Let's go with this beautiful picture here. So simple and easy to pull that in, make that as large or as small as I want. And if I click on this, I can actually click on the picture and I can ink grab. Now, this is clearly not a great example, but what it attempts to do is draw the line of what you can see in the picture. So this is obviously a very complicated picture. If you choose something simple like a circle or a square, which I can show you now, let's do a shape. So I'll go here, Bing image. Let us do a square, for example. Hopefully I'm going to get a picture of just a regular old square. There we go. I'm going to pull that square in, take that image, and then if I do ink grab, it then turns that from a picture into an actual ink that I can now manipulate. So easy, really interesting, great potential with that image menu to add in any image that we would like. And as you can see, I'm just continuing to scroll over, but this is really an unlimited canvas. So I've done all of this work in one space because I have that unlimited availability to use that whiteboard. Now, before I show you how to share this out, I'm going to show you a couple more things here. I actually can do a list, so it will give me a list of tasks. So I can help my students when they're working on a project, give them a task list. So if I edit this, I can call this like project completion list. I can give them like task 1, task 2, task 3. I ask students to say, put your name beside it. They just say, okay, this goes to Alex. This section is going to go to Coulter. And when you're done, let me know that you're done your task by simply clicking on the thumbs up. So now Alex has done 1. Let's double check with her teammates. Is step 1 really done? Coulter could go and vote on this too and say like, yep, this is 100% done by Alex. So it gives you a list in there. It also does things like templates. Now this was mind-blowing to me when I first saw this, but it has already pre-built templates for you. So you're looking to do a KWL chart with your students, it's already there for you. It's got tips for using it? What are the goals for this activity? What do we know already? What do I wonder? What have I learned? I can click on any of these, edit them, and say, we know that mountains are formed from tectonic plates. Tectonic, there we go, Alex, right. Now, how do we know? Well, we can get students to vote. Like, how many of my students know that these are from tectonic plates? Change the background color, do whatever we want. It's really an incredible thing that it already has those KWL charts built in for you. It also has other templates, like we can talk about an empathy map. We can talk about using a weekly planner. We could talk about how to problem solve with a team. So what happened? Why did it happen? What should happen next? How do we keep this from happening again? Great problem solving strategies for students who need that included in their projects already. So insane. There's so much here for you. Let's say you're a teacher, you've done all this hard work. How do we now get this into the hands of our students if you set this up for them? All you'll need to do is click on this little plus person, invite someone, and it'll give you a couple of options. One is to invite somebody in. So for example, Coulter is here somewhere under this guy. I can invite him in and allow him to edit this or read only. I'm going to invite him to edit this. But you'll also notice that it's actually looking at my calendar and it says, hey, Alex, you've actually got a session right now. You've got a Teams meeting going on underneath the same account. Do you want to pop that into the meeting so that your students can work on this with you? I'm like, yes, please. So I can click that and actually have that whole class come in and now work on this. This is actually pushing this out into everybody that was inside this team. So now anybody can come in and work on this. So amazing. It's such an easy way, and it can show you then who has access. You've got so many other things in here. Last but not least, which I just have to show this feature because to me, this would have saved me so many hours. I want to write a table, for example. I'm going to draw, not with that red pen, let's do a black pen and make it a little bit larger so it's easier for us to see. I want to draw a table. There's a square, for example. It beautifies that into a square. I need a table. There's my table. If I want to write the word cat, no problem. What about the word elephant? Don't worry. It'll auto adjust the size of your chart so that it automatically keeps building those out for you. So cat, elephant, dog. This blew my mind.
Yeah, Alex, I'm so amazed right now. I just want to clarify, are you writing with your mouse? Do you have a touchpad? Or how is that coming? Oh, nice.
So you have a couple of options. You can absolutely write with your mouse if you want to. And we all know that the experience of writing with our mouse is not always the nicest option. So that's why I love this app on things like iPads and on phones, because you can just write with your finger. So I happen to have a touchscreen device, so I was writing with my finger, but so easy to do it. I could also, if I don't have that option, obviously use the text boxes. So I could do something like giraffe. There we go. Let's type in here. Giraffe. Oops, I forgot to click in it. There we go. There we go. And I can just take that text box, pull that in, make it a bit bigger. So easy if you don't have the option to write, but you wouldn't see really the difference between my writing and using a text box because it does do that in friendly font. So super cool, really easy. I don't know about you, but this application really blew my mind when I didn't even know that these were options until I'd seen this and explored this.
Can you just show one more time how you found that and how you were able to get that chart there? Or
Yeah, so all I did is in the options for the desktop app, we have something called Ink to Table. So I just made sure I turned that on. And then when I draw a square, it automatically turns that into a shape for me. And I just draw a line right down the middle and it will split it for me. And I can do another one and another one. That one, maybe not. Maybe we have too many there. I can do another one and then have one that goes across to cut my table into two pieces. Now my table looks like this and it's super skinny. But as soon as I start writing, so cat, dog, rabbit, this one's going to be elephant, so it's going to be way longer. It just auto adjusts. I don't know how much time this would have saved me, like trying to make my word tables look nice with the different wording. And I can take the whole table if I want to. Let's just say this whole thing. And I can then copy that and paste that somewhere else. If I wanted to, I could even come into our chat and paste that straight into our chat, and you guys would have access to that whole table, or even send this out to Excel, whatever I want. So cool. And then, last but not least, if that wasn't enough, I can actually, if I choose to share my screen with you guys, Microsoft Whiteboard is available to me. Now, it won't work here because we're all coming from different environments, but you guys should be able to see I have a whiteboard here. Now, I don't know if all of you will be able to write on it because we're all coming from different places, but I can bring this right into our meeting. So if I like type here, you let me know in that chat if you are able to come and can you actually see that whiteboard? I know I can. Coulter, you should be able to as well because you are part of the same environment. I don't know if everybody else can write in this or not because they hadn't actually turned on, or Microsoft hasn't actually been able to share whiteboards outside of our own environment. But if you're working with your students, know that all your students should be able to get here. So maybe people can, I don't know. So, and you can't see it. Only see whiteboarding in process. Okay, so what that looks like, by the way, I'll just take a screenshot and dump that in so you guys can have a look. What that looked like for me inside of a meeting was this. So hang tight.
I was able to just let everyone else know. I was able to write my name and work on that. That's because I'm in the same environment.
Yes, so you do have to be inside the same environment as your students. But what you should see is like there, Coulter was able to write his name, do a little drawing inside of our meeting. So it just pulls that straight into our meeting. So Microsoft Whiteboard is severely underrated and underused in my opinion. It really is one of the nicest Office 365 tools that I have discovered this year in the last 12 months. Literally the ideas are unlimited. You could post this to a Teams, you could send this directly to OneNote, you could email this as a summary. If you're working in math and you need that like graph paper, pull in a square background and now your entire whiteboard has a graphing background. It's just unlimited possibilities. I could really do a whole session of like an hour and a half just on whiteboard, but what I wanted to do is kind of whet your palate and get you excited and hopefully wanting you guys to have just a session on whiteboard, because for me, the kind of flexibility and opportunities are endless with Microsoft Whiteboard. So that's the first part of today. We've got about 20 minutes left, and what I'm going to focus on now is going to be our second tool, which actually works quite nicely with Microsoft Whiteboard, which is going to be OneNote. And again, I've put all of the links here, how to get the app, how to get the iPad app, all of that fun stuff I've put here for you. We're going to come to the second phase of today's workshop, but before I actually get started with that phase 2, can you guys just let me know in the chat, do you already use Microsoft OneNote? Have you already used OneNote? Do you know what it is? Do you know how to use it? Let me know in that chat space before I kind of get things kicked off and so I can hear where you guys are at. I'm just going to stop sharing my screen and flip these around because I've got the wrong things on the wrong screens and it's getting me all confused. There we go. Pull that back. Share. There we are. Okay, so now you should be able to see again. Okay, so Pam uses it, but just the basics. And as a current user, awesome. Anyone else in the chat, do you use it? If you don't, hopefully, again, today will kind of give you that, ooh, I want to learn more feeling. So I'm going to start off today with just really basically describing what OneNote is, where do you find it, what are the different versions, and how do you use it. So I'm going to come into my presentation here. OneNote is really just a digital note-taking software that helps keep you and your work organized. So if you're somebody who lives and dies by their agenda or by their like paper note-taking, this is hopefully going to help you transition into an environment where you get the flexibility and the ease of use of one of your other Microsoft products, but you get the freedom of what it feels like to work in a regular notebook. So it is just a digital binder. And the way that OneNote is set up is that every binder has its own group of sections. So you divide it kind of as like your tabs. In each section, you can have unlimited pages, and on each page, you can have as many notes as you want. So it's really like that classic 3-ring, 1.5" binder with the 3 metal rings. It's all there for you, except it's just digital. So really think of it as kind of that digital working environment, that digital note-taking environment. Now, we have two options. Just like I said, Microsoft loves to have multiple versions of their products. We have a version that we use called OneNote app, which is for Windows 10 or Mac. And then we also have the older version, which is just for Windows 20, for OneNote 2016. We're really recommending that everybody use this Windows 10 Mac app. It's just the most up-to-date. It's the nicest one to use. In this PowerPoint, it's linked to how to download that app if you don't already have it. But if you're looking to just see what OneNote might look like, if you're still stuck on your whiteboard, on that whiteboard page, if you just press the little arrow backwards, it'll take you to your whiteboards. And then if you want to go look for the OneNote app, if you want to try it out, again, click on those 9 little dots in the top left, and you should see OneNote available to you. And again, OneNote is that digital, that online notebook, that environment for you to take notes. So again, if you were on your whiteboard page, you just need to hit that little arrow in the top left, and then in the 9 little dots, you're going to look for OneNote and let me know when you're there. And we're just going to build a test notebook just so that you can see the structure. So as I said, it's a digital binder. It's a place for you to talk with your students or take notes with your students, or it can be used as a private place to simply take your notes. And Coulter can attest to this. Coulter and I did many OneNote sessions in 2020. I think, Coulter, if I'm not wrong, we broke this down into like a 3-part series even. It can be that expansive if we want it to be. So today is just an overview of what is this. If you want more, ask for more. We're happy to give it to you.
Yeah, it's really nice, and I think we broke it down to those 3 parts because it works with other tools in your Office 365 environment. So it's just such a nice I personally think it's so great for organization. I value it because when I'm taking notes on workshops that I'm doing, this is where I go to, and I would also push my students towards using this as well because it just supports their organization. Just like what we had in our school days growing up, we had our 3-ring binder and we organized ourselves that way, but now it's all digitalized. So I posted the link in the chat for you to use to grab the Windows 10 app if you don't already have it.
Awesome, that's great. So if you're on your Office homepage and you've clicked on OneNote, this is what you're going to see. If you'd like to follow along, you're more than welcome to. I'm going to hit New Notebook, and I'm going to call this like my 2021 Professional Development Notes. So any professional development or any learning I'm going to have in 2021 as an educator, I'm going to stick it in this binder. So instead of having those pieces of paper that get lost at the bottom of your bag, the coffee gets spilt on them, you file it away in a desk, and then all of a sudden you have to work from home for the next 3 weeks and you can't get back to your desk to learn, hey, how did Alex say to create that notebook? Put it online because that way you can get to it from anywhere. It's accessible from all devices. It works anywhere on any device. So I've just created this notebook called My Professional Development Notes. And I'm going to divide this up into the different environments that I'm going to be learning in. So if I'm looking to actually add a section, really think of this as that like classic tab, you'd find that in the bottom left, which is add a section. So I know I'm going to be doing a lot of sessions with Cobblestone Collective, so I'm actually going to put Cobblestone Collective as one of my tabs. So now I know if I ever take a session with them, I have a whole section that's dedicated just to their environment. Maybe I'm also going to take sessions from Apple Education. Maybe I'm going to do some sessions with them on how to use some apps. So I'm going to add a section in the bottom left and call that Apple EDU because I know I'm going to work directly with them on developing some apps. And last but not least, I'm going to do a section for school board sessions because I'm sure at some point this year your school board is going to offer you some professional development, professional learning. So now is my binder. So I've really got a binder. If you picture on the spine, it's written my 2021 professional notes. And when I open that digital binder, I've got those 3 tabs that say Cobblestone Collective, Apple Education, and School Board Sessions. So it's kind of got those 3 classic tabs. So if I come to Cobblestone Collective and just to move between the different sections, you just click on the tab. And all I'm going to do is I'm going to add a page, which is already there. And I'm going to call this one, for example, Whiteboard and OneNote. So now I've got a binder called Professional Development. inside which I've got 3 sections. And in my first section, I've now got a page called Whiteboard and OneNote. So again, instead of writing this all by hand, having this lost somewhere, I've just digitized my own professional development learning binder. So let me know, try it out. I'm going to give you a couple of seconds to give it a try. I'm going to give you about 2 or 3 minutes. Try and create a notebook. Any questions, pop that in the chat if you want me to show you again where to go to find this. But let me know in that chat space when you've got those sections on the left where you've managed to put in some dividers and then labeled a page. Let me know when you get to that. Okay, so don't be shy in that chat space. Let us know where you're at. Again, this is that digital learning, that digital whiteboard, that digital notebook available to you from anywhere. We're calling it OneNote. Again, last year it was a huge hit. We really had like hundreds of people following that 3-part series. So if you want to see that in 2021, let us know. Today was just kind of a whet your palate, give you an idea of what's possible with the whiteboard and with OneNote. So I'm going to give you about 1 more minute. Let me know when you have completed the stage of labeling a section and creating a page. Okay, it looks like Shannon was able, Pam's got it. That's great, guys. Good job. So if you're still working, as I said, I'm just going to kind of keep talking in the background quietly. I've put the link in the PowerPoint on where you can download that Windows 10 version. I've talked to you in that PowerPoint, how does it work? So how do we create the OneNote? I've just done that and I've taken screenshots of all of these things. So open up OneNote, click on notebooks, add a title, create document. We just did that. I've talked you through how to create a section, how to name that section, how to create a page and then title that page. So all of this is available to you in that PowerPoint that Coulter has nicely shared out with you a few times. So what can we add to OneNote now that we kind of have this digital structure built? What can we put on the page? We can actually add so many different things into a OneNote page. So we can organize ourselves by adding things like lists, tags, charts, to-do lists, any text that we want. We can draw on a Microsoft OneNote, so you can actually draw on your page if you want to and have similar to that whiteboard, that inking environment. You can integrate things like audio notes, so if you want to record something, so listen to it later, you can go in and actually add a YouTube video or another video. You can put in music, you can add PowerPoint slides. So really think of this as kind of taking what you've traditionally put in like your teacher library, your notes, your assignments, your PDFs, and then bringing these into OneNote as a fantastic storage space. And then as everything with Microsoft, you can share this out with anybody. So if your teacher at your co-teacher, let's say, didn't have a chance to make it to this professional development session, you could just quickly share that with them. And then now they would have access to all the notes that you took in that professional learning environment. So it really is that beautiful space to kind of work. So if I wanted to, example, have notes on Whiteboard, Coulter's kindly shared out the link, as I said, to the PowerPoint presentation. Let's say I don't want to lose that. So I'm just going to, as we've been working here, I'm just going to take that link and just paste that right in and say, like, this is the link to Alex's OneNote environment. I know that I just want this to be no background. I want the text to be black and I don't want there to be any highlighting. And there it is. So now I know that this is the link to Alex's link to the PowerPoint presentation from the webinar. And then let's say, okay, Alex has talked about how to download the app. So I could say, like, in the tag section, to do. don't forget to download the Whiteboard desktop app and share it with my co-teacher. And again, I'm just using the tag to make this into now a checkable checklist. If I wanted to go in and record an audio recording, because it's easier for me to remember something when I hear it versus when I write it, under the Insert tab in OneNote, we have something like an audio recording. So I can just click on that and say, allow it to use my microphone and start talking. Hey, Alex, I learned today that in Whiteboard, I can write text and then make it look pretty. To do that, all I need to remember to do is click on the text, hit that ink beautification, and I'll get some nice inking that looks really easy to read. So now I've got an audio recording right on this page. It's automatically included. As I said, really the possibility with OneNotes are unlimited. We've got so many different things that we can integrate directly into a OneNote page. And one of those things being a Microsoft Whiteboard. So if I take, for example, that whiteboard that I was working on before on the desktop app, if I click on those three little lines there, I can say, send this to OneNote. It's going to look through what notebooks I have, and I'm going to choose my notebook. And it's going to say, well, where do you want to send this? What section do you want to send this to? So let's say I'm going to put this in the content library of one of my binders, which looks good. I'm going to stick it in here, and I'm going to send this whole mind map that I was just working on in my students. Oh, that's why. Let's see if this works. I'm going to get out of it and get back in. Sometimes it doesn't like, not Word, I want Whiteboard. I'm going to show you how you can send your Whiteboard directly to your OneNote. So hang tight with me for a second. Sometimes it just needs me to sign in again. So here we are. Send to OneNote, my notebooks. Let's see if I can get this to go. Send. Cross our fingers, cross our toes, this should work. We'll send this, and there we go. So now if I come back to my OneNote application, what I should find is now in my binder that I was using with my students on that welcome page, which is one of my sections, there is, it's just going to be syncing, there is going to be my OneNote, my whole whiteboard. So it just sends all that content over. So what we were doing as a brainstorm has now coming in, and there it is. There's an entire Microsoft Whiteboard that I worked on with my students directly sent into my digital binder. So if I need to remember as a teacher what it was that we did, what did we work on, so easy to send that over to that digital binder. So this is great for in-class observations, collaborative work, virtual observations, hosting all your kinds of material and content that you need, knowing that you can put things like audio recording, video recording, and so much more. So we've got 5 minutes left. I know that I've talked a lot. We've had a lot of content today. As I said, I really put in way more than expected to cover just because I wanted you to have it as a resource. In case you were already familiar with OneNote, you'll find a lot of content here. If you've never seen OneNote or Microsoft Whiteboard before, all the links for where you need to get started are there. But if that still feels like, oh my goodness, we've got so much still to cover, I've added so many links in here for you. So the first place that you've got in that PowerPoint that we shared out is the Microsoft Educator Center. And that is the place where you can do some self-directed learning. So if you're interested in learning more about OneNote or Microsoft Whiteboard on your own time, the Microsoft Education Center is the great place for you to start with that. If you just sign in with your school email address, I've even given you a professional development code that you can redeem. So if you need to log any kind of professional development hours for your board, I've given you the code that will give you the certification saying, I've done 1 hour of professional development with a Microsoft person. So that's there for you. But then other resources are things like office support. So if you're looking to get just some quick tips and answers, there it is for you. If you're looking for specific OneNote support, if you click on that OneNote support link, it's going to take you to the page specifically for education all around OneNote. So how to get started, where does it integrate? These are the problems I'm coming across. If I don't know where to get started, one stop for teacher training, it takes you right to, not the right one, how to learn about OneNote. A live demo, lots of click-through experiences. It's all there for you in that PowerPoint presentation. And then last but not least, before I leave a few moments for questions, are two great places. One is the feedback link. So if you're like, whoa, Alex, this 1 hour session was a great way to kind of learn about these tools for the first time, but I need way more hands-on, in-depth, slower sessions, put that in our feedback. We want to give you those sessions if that's what you're interested in. So if you're saying, oh my goodness, I want to just dive deep into Microsoft Whiteboard or deep into OneNote, please give us a session. Please create a session just for that. Put that feedback in there. We do listen to it and we do customize sessions for based off of the requests. And then if you need help with anything at all to do with any educational technology, Google, Microsoft, all of that, please do use that help@cobblestonecollective.ca. There's a real person on the back end who will answer you if you have a question. So that's it for me today. Don't forget to access this PowerPoint using that link. Please do take a couple of moments to fill out that feedback survey. If you came today and you're like, oh my goodness, this session is amazing, I want to share, I want to have my other colleagues be able to get to this, just tell them to register online and they'll automatically receive the recording after the recording is ready. So if they missed out on this opportunity, don't worry, tell them to register on the website just like you guys did today and they'll receive the recorded version once it's done. So thank you so much for choosing to spend your afternoon with Coulter and myself. I really appreciate your time and dedication, and I know that your students do too. If you have any further questions, please hang out. We're more than welcome to answer them for you. If not, have a great rest of the day. Tomorrow is Friday. You almost made it through another week. So thank you again and have a great rest of the evening.